Lou, what are you thinking, bro? Welcome back to the channel. We finally made it to Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 6, Into the Darkness. And yeah, it's a lot of darkness in this episode. Let's get it. So we start the episode off with someone banging and screaming at Rock's door. It's Pernessa. Pernessa is at her door banging. I know you in there. Oh, just carrying on ridiculous, basically. So Rock goes to the door. She opens the door, and to her surprise, Pernessa has that thing pointed at her. So she, comes on in, has Rock at gunpoint. We at gunpoint. So, we got to let her in because, otherwise we would whoop her ass. We would. So she comes on in and she proceeds to rant and rave about Neek being missing. And she knows Rock has something to do with it. I know you did something to him. You got rid of him. Blah, blah, blah. Just out of control. And rightfully so. I get that. But you weak. You weren't built for this. And you messing with Rock. So next thing you know, Rock done, of course, I was waiting for it to happen. I could tell Rock was sizing her up. And Rock even told her, you might as well go ahead and pull that trigger if that's what you're here for. But I know you're not made for that. You weren't built for this. So Rock knew that she could overtake her. And before you know it, she did the little, police maneuver, the gun, switcheroo. I don't know if there's a name for that, but she got the gun off of her. And then, they end up in this scene and they're in the kitchen having a conversation about everything. And she's telling her, all that she's done. She's telling her what she saw at the tailor shop, how messed up it was, and there was a lot of blood. And she just feels it in her soul that Neek is gone. So Rock asks her, she's like, well, any leads? You know of anybody that might wanted to do this to him? And she's just, no, she don't know of anybody. So Rock says, what about Ronnie? And Pernessa shot that down. She definitely didn't believe that Ronnie would have anything to do with his brother's death. He loved his brother. When he was young, he used to protect his brother, blah, 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 right? So Rock was like, she could just tell by the look on Rock's face that she don't buy it. And she got to thinking. So now we get to Lou's studio. And like I figured, I'm pretty sure everybody else did, Lou and Famous was going to start back working together after he rocked the mic at the open mic show. But the problem is, Famous is in here rap dissing on himself. And I feel like, number one, with Kay giving him that warning to take that shit to your grave, right? Kay gave you the warning, one. And then two, this going to open the door for you to start rapping even more about stuff even on Kanan and what he got going on. Are you gonna end up rapping about the Scooter Boys? Like, what is the deal here? And he's going through. I get it. I see it. He's going through it. He's tormented. I can't imagine taking someone's life. Just can't. So I try to think realistic, but that show side of me is getting mad at him. You always knew and could tell that he was a liability for Kanan and where we trying to go. We trying to be the kingpin. And we always knew that he was a liability for that. But, after he's done, he goes and he sits down, he talks to Lou, and he lets Lou know that, hey, this has been running heavy on me. And he said, but the more I get it out, the more I put it on paper, the better I feel. And Lou tells him that you have to keep talking about it. You have to get it out. So he's pretty much giving him the opposite advice of what Kanan gave him. Which, Lou being in the game for so long, I was just so like, Lou, really? But what we later found out, what Lou was on. We'll talk about that in a minute. So Lou's final advice to Famous was, let the truth save you. Famous takes this and he goes to the bando. And back at the bando, he's talking to Kanan. And he has the nerve and he feels he's compelled to tell Kanan about the gun that Rock planted. And I'm like, careful. Because I know that Kanan, he's going to be mad at Rock. I know that. And that's a given. I know that. But I also know that by you telling him this, you're telling him that you sold him out. That he can't trust you. And if sure enough, he blew up at him. He blew up at him. He told him, and I know she bankrolled you because loyalty comes at a price for you. Something on that line. And then proceeds to tell this man that he got 5 minutes to get out. That I'm going to be gone. I'm leaving. When I come back, you and all your shit better be gone. And I'm thinking like, well, what, Kanan? Ain't this his spot? I thought the bando was Famous's. You gonna kick him out of his own shit. Wow. I was blown away with that one. Future Kanan, yes. This Kanan, I was shocked. He getting there. He getting there. So now we're back at Rock's house. Kanan went there to address her about this, and they are yelling at each other. They're going back and forth. And, of course, she's throwing the I did it because I love you to protect you and all that. But when in reality, we all know Rock just likes control and she wants to be able to manipulate. I'm sure she loves her son, but she's driven by that power and control. So they're going back and forth about that. And there's a knock at the door. And it's the social worker. The social worker has shown up to do another visit, and luckily Kay was there because remember she threatened that if he wasn't there the next time she came, she would put him in CPS if he wasn't there. So it's a good thing he was there. They go to the door, and her nosy ass gonna tell Rock, well, I heard some yelling. What was all that yelling? And she just said, me and my son, we talk. We're loud talkers. That's what she told her to play that off. But they get in there, and then she wants to see Kanan alone. And Rock can't be in there. So, of course, that had Rock a little nervous because of what they were just arguing about. But come on, I knew he was going to play the role because if he tells her, that's going to put you in CPS. So why would you tell this lady about that? So, I knew he was going to play the role. I wasn't worried. Even with Howard being in the police precinct, he's a part of all that. He's now forward thinking, I believe, because he's done got word that there's an upcoming narcotics position. So he made his way straight to the captain and put in his bid for it. And the captain seems to be all for it. And I think that this, especially what we find out later here in a minute about Rock, this is going to come into play. This is going to be work to their favor. I know he said he wasn't going to do any favors for them anymore, but he is. He will. He's not going to stop. And him being over narcotics, that's going to really, really help them in what they're doing. We're going to be able to get away with a lot of stuff with the help of Howard. So then we see Rock. She pulls up in like a little alleyway under a bridge, like under a bridgeway or something. She pulls up on Howard, and they just sit in their cars talking to each other. Might have been a parking garage. I don't remember. So they're sitting there talking to each other because she wants to know if he's heard anything about Neek. And Howard tells her, first he tells her, no, Neek is low on the priority list, something like that. And they chop it up, about the feds and everything like that. And then he tells her, you know what? And this is how he ain't done messing with them. He went ahead and gave her the intel. He said, you know what? He said, on the real, Neek's dead. He's dead. That Taylor said the same thing that Nessa told her. Blood was everywhere, just way too much blood. And we also found a pipe that had hair, blood, and bone fragments. Nobody, he didn't survive that. So he pretty much let her know that Neek is dead. So then he proceeds to tell her, he got to thinking about it. He's like, hold up. Sal's been offed. Dean was murdered. And now Neek is gone. Are you here because now you're afraid that you could be next? And Rock tells him, listen, I'm not afraid. I'm aware. People that are afraid look over their shoulders. People that are aware, they stay prepared and they stay ready. Your partner, she was afraid. She pretty much let him know, listen, that's how you was able to get your partner, because she was afraid. So I thought that was kind of funny, interesting rather. So now we get back to the studio. We with Butter. They look like they're doing some type of an audition for, my guess would be, trying to get a label. They're with their manager, and they're dancing. And for some reason, Marvin is in there. First, I'm thinking like, why is he in there? I don't know, but he was in there. When they get done, Marvin just goes off, all, daddy mode, girl dad mode, pretty much. He just goes off. He's all excited, ranting and raving in front of these producers and everything, ranting and raving about his daughter. He's just so, and it's all about her. He's not thinking, to me, that was the biggest mistake that he made. She's in a group. And number two, like, you were allowed to be in there. They're there to do their job. Let them do their job. And he was just going on and on to the point to where, Juke ends up kicking him out. She's like, come with me. She actually went off on her daddy. These kids be so disrespectful sometimes. But anyway, she brings him out of there, and tells him, he need to calm down, pipe down. You're doing too much, basically. And so that was an interesting exchange. Because, see, Marvin's trying to figure out how to be her dad. And when you really look back at all of these players in Kanan, Raising Kanan, they've all lived such a fast life until now that they're older, they're trying to slow down. His thing that he missed in his fast life is really raising his daughter. So now he's trying to make up for that, and he just don't know how to do it. He just don't. So he went off. He did say something interesting in there that later, after Juke went back in there, her manager kind of said the same thing. But he said, she should be up front. That was one of the things he told him. My daughter should be up front. And then the manager, when she got back in there, she let them know, listen, there's not enough chemistry here. Because she had to break up a fight between Juke and Crystal. Crystal just out of pocket. Just all the way out of pocket, all the way around. I really, really hated she broke that up because I wanted Juke to get her. I did. I wanted Juke to just pike her down. Like, calm down. And so they're in there arguing because Crystal feels she should be the leader, right? And so the manager comes and told him, listen, told Crystal, you're too entitled. She told Isha, you're not confident of it. You lack confidence. You don't have the confidence. And she told Juke something interesting, like, you don't even think about wanting it. You don't even really want it. And that kind of, she's like, show me you want it. And I feel like for her to say that lets me know that this lady already sees the leadership potential in her, but she can tell Juke ain't even thinking about wanting it, right? Sometimes things and elevations are yours to lose. And that's pretty much what could it have been for Juke if this lady hadn't had this conversation with her. I'm thinking because she then goes home, when she's at home later, she's eating breakfast. I guess it's the next morning. She's eating a bowl of cereal. Her dad comes in. Of course, he was very, very apologetic about how he acted. And she tells him after, they get all that hashed out, she tells him that there is an opportunity for her to be, you weren't all wrong. That's basically what he said. She told him, you weren't all wrong. There is an opportunity for me to be a leader of this group, the leader of this group. So, oh, that got him all giddy back all over again. So it's cute. I love their dynamic. I love where Marvin is going. He's really, really trying to fix it. He's doing it the right way of fixing their relationship, and Rock is doing it the wrong way. There's a difference in how they're trying, because they both need to fix their relationships between their children. They both had that fast life and missed out on things and did things wrong. But I feel like he's going back and doing it the right way. So I'm really, really interested in how their story dynamic is going to play out, because she ended up being such a dark person. And what happened to Marvin, like I cannot wait. We got a lot of story to know. I just can't wait, and I'm here for it. So now we have Rock at the bar. She done made her way to the bar, and she's walking in, and she's looking around. You can tell she likes what she sees. She's happy. She seems genuinely happy to me. Lou sees her apparently, because he's like standing toward the back doing some work and all that. And he goes and he turns the music off. And as soon as he turned it off, she said that was Daddy. She let him know that she knew that was their daddy on there. And he's like, what do you want, Rock? Because at the end of the day, this right here, this backdrop right here, I'm not a man, but I know for sure that any woman do a dude like this and say, I own you, nigga, ain't no coming back from that. I just don't see a man coming back from that. It's time for her to realize she done burned that bridge. It's over with right there. But anyway, she tells him that she's sorry that she wasn't able to make it to the opening. Of course, he doesn't care. He cares, deep, deep down, he does care. That's his sister. He loves her. But he's so hurt, and that hurt has festered so much in him until he don't care. And she proceeds to tell him that, it's time for them to make it right between them. And he's like, he ain't trying to hear it. He even brings up their childhood as how, you were my big sister and you wrote me into this life. I never wanted this life. I always wanted music. You wrote me into that lifestyle and you made me do things that I'll never be able to recover. And she lets him know, listen, when you grew up and realized what you were in, you stayed in it. You made those decisions at that point. And I agree with that. It's just like Kanan told him a few episodes back. You could have said no. And you can't blame somebody for something that once you have a clear understanding of what you're doing and what you're into, relationship, whatever, and you continue to do those things. You always do what you always done. Guess what? You're going to get those same results. So they go back and forth about this, and she continues to tell him that she's changed, she's different, she's not even in the game anymore. He ain't buying it. He don't believe it. He told her, you'll never be out of the game. You'll never be out of the game. And it's like, he don't believe it too, because it's like what Kanan told her back at the house when they were arguing earlier. He told her, Rock, I don't think you love anybody. You're capable of loving anybody. It's like, and I believe Lou feels the same way. Whatever she spews out of her mouth, he don't believe it. He ain't buying it. She did tell Lou that she loved, respect, and support him. And she just want to support him with her love. And he told her, Rock, you can't love anybody. So see, him and Kanan feels the same way about her. He said, I was just a hammer to you. Something you pulled out the chest when you needed something banged around. That's kind of sad. that this is going on between them. Hopefully they'll fix it. But we shall see. So next, we're back at Nessa and Neek's house. Because we see Ronnie is in their bedroom going through Neek's belongings, getting jewelry. There's wads of money in the bag. Don't know if that money came from there, if that's the money that he got from selling that car that he jacked. Not sure. But there's money as well. And he's just putting all this jewelry into the bag. In walks Nessa while he's doing it. And she sees him and becomes, rightfully so, very frantic. What are you doing, Ronnie? That's Neek stuff. He's going to need this when he gets back. And she goes like she's about to take it from him. Oh, no, he's slung on the floor. He slung up against the dresser, and she realized right then, that's when she knew. I'm pretty sure she thought about what Rock told her, because then he walks over, he hovers over her, and just stares at her. And then he walks out. So you know that she now knows that he did this to her husband. He's the one responsible. Next we see Ronnie. He then goes, he's knocking at a door. And at first I'm like, where is he? But it's Juliana's house. She opens the door and she sees him, and he lets her know immediately that there's no more Neek. And she's like, what do you mean there's no more Neek? He said, I did what you said. There's no more Neek. Neek ain't coming back. And she invites him in. And they get to talking. She said, so you want heroin? She said, but let you know this right now. This has to be between you and I. She doesn't want her cousin involved. And I was happy about that, because I know it's going to come back to bite you. She's doing this behind her cousin's back. So there's that. So now we're at the park. Marvin and Gerald are, chopping it up. They got their bromance going on, right? And they're chopping it up. Gerald's girls, I guess, are playing because they're younger than Juke is. Juke is 18. So they're chopping it up. They're talking a little bit. So Gerald brings up him writing for Juke, getting a story out there for Juke, him doing that writing. He think that'll be good. He tells him, he said, I'm going to have to, interview you and her, to get the story. This dude is a CI. And I'm like, to Marvin, I'm like, careful. Because I can tell. Then this man comes up. And he starts to, hey, man, talking to Marvin. Hey, man, I haven't seen you. How you been? I remember seeing you at the lanes used to be with Tony. And he's like, you don't know me. I don't know you. This is what Marvin's saying. He's, trying to get rid of the guy. He said, no, you and Tony Deep. I remember I walked in on y'all a few times. Marvin's like, I don't know. He ended up having to get firm with him. So the dude just kind of let it go, grabbed his son off the monkey bars or wherever he was playing on, and they left. But this dude right here that's got too many questions for me right now, he goes, yeah, Tony Deep. See, he remembered that name. Tony Deep, that sounds like a porn star. And so Marvin's like, sounds like the guy got the wrong, every black man look-alike to me, syndrome. So Marvin tried to play it off, but I think we're going to find out that Gerald probably, getting caught up in his drugs. The feds are making him snitch on Marvin. They found out that there was a link, and they're making him snitch on Marvin. Right? Because, he had to go to anger management, so they knew he went to anger management. I'm sure it was on a record that this guy was there. They connected the dots, and he's the snitch. And you're going to find out why I said that in just a minute. Hang tight. So we see Marvin and Rock, they're talking at Southside Plaza. They're having a conversation about, because Rock's all frustrated about what's going on with the pipes bursted, the windows keep getting knocked out, and it's like this is getting to her. And she's like, this ain't me, right? What I did before, the life I had before, was me. I did that. Like, I was that lady. So she's beginning to feel, you can tell, wanting back in the game. And she ends up telling Marvin that she wanted to get back in the game. And it's like, Lou was right. Everybody was right. She want to get back in the game. Then her and Marvin go to see Stefano. And when they walk in, Stefano, he always got something witty to say. He sees Marvin. He says, is this our mailman? So they go out back and they get to talking about, she gets to telling him how she wants to get back into the game, because he mentions Neek is gone. And she's like how she really wants to get back in the game, pick up this, where he, left off or whatever. That way, business can keep going. She's seizing her opportunity, basically. And at first, Stefano was a little reluctant. He didn't really, he wasn't feeling it. He's like, you're out the game, you're in the game. Like, what's going on with you? Inconsistent. I don't know if I can count on you. And I saw Marvin walking up, and I got a little nervous because sometimes Marvin can mess things up. And he says to him, "But you counted on her when you needed Sal dealt with, and she came through, right?" And again, his wit, he says, "Mailman delivers again," and he was right. So he said, "Let's shake on it," but he reminded her. He said. He pulled her close. He said, if you ever decide you want to get out again, just know there's only one way out. So now we're back at the bando, and Paul has pulled up on Kanan. Paul is upset because his scooter boys don't want to scoot for him no more. He's a little salty because they just want to work for Kanan because that money with Kanan is rolling in for him. So he's upset that he doesn't have anybody do his regular courier service. So he's so mad, he's stepping up on him, and as the camera panned, we see Ronnie standing back there. Ronnie's standing there as Ronnie spooky Ronnie mode, just standing there blank. And Paul steps up to Kanan and is like, I can report you. And Kanan steps up to him and goes back at him, and he tells Kanan, Kanan, threatens him, right? Like he better not. So he's telling Kanan, you just a kid. you just a kid. What you gonna do? Kanan took another step up on him, looked him dead in his eyes, eyeball to eyeball, flat foot to flat foot, and say, listen, a kid can take out an adult. I've seen many of kids take out adults. And he knew Kanan meant that, right? And he's, I just need a couple of drivers. Oh, he piped down in. You piped down in. So he told him he just need a couple of drivers. So Kanan called a couple of dudes, hey, go run a couple of routes for him. Oh, man, I'm going to take care of you. Go run a couple of routes with him. So, boom. But we know he gonna get dealt with. Probably Ronnie gonna sneak up on him and get him. That's what I think gonna happen. Ronnie, he gonna remember that. He gonna sneak up on him and get that guy. So anyway, Kanan, goes over to Ronnie to see what Ronnie wants, and Ronnie is inviting him to a party at the palace. He tell him, you need to come. First, Kanan like, I'm good. You need to come. Everybody's gonna be there. You need to come. So, boom. There's that. So later we see Kanan, Isha, and Juke. They're on this elevator. And Juke is standing toward the back of the elevator while Kanan and Aisha is in front. They kind of like, flirting, they vibing. And she just standing back like she just coming down, right? Because I know she loves this. She likes this girl. I ain't going to say she love her. She crushing on this girl. So they go on into the club scene, and Ronnie greets them. And Juke, when she sees Ronnie, she's like, ain't you got a brother that's been missing a few weeks and you in here throwing parties? Juke is. Then she says, we in here partying with all these thugsters or something like that. She called it. And Ronnie goes, "This is not a thug party, a thugster party," and Juke reads the room and start naming off about 4 or 5 people that are in the game. Boom, 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 boom. She just started pointing. So Juke is like what Rock said. Juke ain't scared. She's aware. I was like, wow. She read the room that fast. So then he comes and they go out on the dance floor. They start dancing and things like that. Kanan and Isha, again, Juke standing off to herself. She's not feeling the vibes. And so she comes and she tells them, hey, it's time to go. I think she definitely don't feel the vibes, right? Also, she's kicking in her leadership gear because she said no, because Kanan's like, well, you can go, we can stay. She's like, no, she's got to come because she's got practice in the morning. So she's, being that leader. A little Miss Insecure, she agrees with Juke. Yeah, I do need to go to practice. She's following her leader. So as they're leaving, getting ready to go, because Kanan's like, oh, okay. Of course, Mr. Creepy, he noticing everything. He comes over and stops Kanan, tell him, no, we got a meeting. The bigs want to meet with you. Right? And Juke's like, no, Kanan's got to go. And Kanan's like, no, wait a minute. And she tells him, Rock wouldn't want you here, right? Of course, that probably fueled Kanan to stay even the more because he want to do anything he can to get back at his mama. So Juke leaves, he stays, and they go over to sit down to meet with Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Whatever. Now, mind you, what I forgot to say was they had walked up and introduced themselves when the trio first got there. And Snap said, complimented Kay on what he's heard from Ronnie on how he's running his business. And he out there getting that paper. And you could tell it made Kane feel uncomfortable. And Juke was like, whoa, what business? And he's out just, just getting ends. He tried to brush it off. But again, Juke ain't stupid. So anyway, back to this. So they get over and they have their little sit down and they're talking about the setup. And Kanan's like, well, I just got some boys on a scooter. So they basically like, well, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. You got, some distro set up. We just want to use that distro and grow it even more. So Kanan's like, okay, I get it. He said, but I got to let y'all know something. It's just me. I'm not working with my mom. And when he said that, Ronnie says, fuck Rock. Now, I know they've been through a lot. I know this. But I can't imagine anything on this earth that my mom could do or say to me that would allow me or enable me to sit in the presence of someone else saying, fuck her. I'm not up for that. It ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. And then Snap said it too. Fuck Rock. Like, I'll drink to that. What did Kanan do? He grabbed his drink and had a drink. He hate his mama. Kanan, you hate your mama that much? Oh my God, that's crazy. That's crazy. So as they have that little fuck Rock moment, they had their little drinks. You see them all standing up for a photo. It's probably like 20 plus in this photo. All the players in the city, right? And they're taking this photo. Snap tells Kanan, come join us. And he's like, no. And then Ronnie looks at Kanan and said, you're supposed to be here. You get up here. You're supposed to be here. So he came up and he took the picture with him. That picture gonna come back to bite you in the butt, boy. Watch. All right, so the next morning, I'm assuming, we back at the bando. And we hear pounding, constant pounding on the door. And I said, that ain't nobody but Ronnie. Nobody's saying nothing, just pounding on the door. And Kanan is awakening out of his sleep, and he's calling for Famous to get the door. And I'm like, Joker, you kicked him out. He ain't there. So he got to get up, opens the door, and of course, it's Ronnie. He comes in with a bag, he puts the bag on the table, take out a brick, shoves it in Kanan's chest, and say, time to go to work, nickel. Kanan looked at him like Joker. And he grabbed the brick, put it on the table. He goes to get the beeper and an ink pen and came and laid it beside it. I guess he about to pay some of his scooter boys to come through and pick up the product. But that dude's so out of pocket. Ronnie's so out of pocket. He just throwed. So now we're back at the precinct. Why are we back at the precinct? Because the feds have called Howard into their little headquarters and hand him a file and said, we need to do, what do you know about this guy? He looks at it and it's a picture of Marvin. And he said, we got some intel that this guy may be in connection to a murder. And then he also mentioned Tony Deep. And when I heard him say that name, I was like, oh my God. This dude is a snitch. He's a snitch. He's an informant. He let his informant know about that name, Tony Deep. Because he remembered that name because he called it back after the dude walked off. But we shall see. So now Lou is really, really struggling. You know, he was drinking a lot, then he stopped drinking for 2 days, and he started back drinking. He's been drinking this entire episode. He's still hallucinating, seeing Scrap, D-Wiz, mostly Scrappy. And he was even in his studio working, and he thought he saw Scrap sitting and playing video games. And this is just really, really harboring his spirits. Like, he just can't shake it. So next we see him sitting in a car. And you can tell he's wasted in this car, and he's crying in the car. And he gets out of the car, and he's stumbling. He's just that wasted. He's stumbling. And he's walking towards a house. And then you see him sitting in a chair crying and talking about when Scrap got murdered and how he didn't stop it and he's responsible for Scrappy. And I'm like, no freaking way. Who is he talking to? Because at first they're not showing who he's talking to. I'm like, oh my God, who is he talking to? I knew it wasn't good. Whether it was he was in therapy or I didn't know what was going on. But I knew it wasn't good. Who is he confessing this to? And it pans out to a sobbing, Scrappy mother. His mother. You're telling his mother this story? It's over with. It's over with. So that's how the episode ended. And boy, to me it ended with 2 bangers. Or maybe 3. Rock getting back in the game. Marvin getting hemmed up. And this. Lou spilling the beans. Lou breaking the #1 code in the game. Good episode. Can't wait till next week. Make sure when you're in here, you like the video, comment on the video. Let's talk about it. I love talking about this stuff, so let's talk about it. All right. And as always, stay safe and on to the next one. Peace.